Death Metal issue 7 sees the giant golden Wonder Woman rise from the earth, laying her new eyes on what has been happening, seeing the entire war in front of her. She sees Batman battling the Robin Prince and Superman fighting an evil version of himself, as she also begins seeing the past and the future, as well as the Darkest Night. Wonder Woman confronts her final enemy despite knowing he is stronger, something the villain is very well aware of as he waits for Diana's attack. Wonder Woman shrinks one of his baby Dark Earths, shoving it down the villain's throat. The Knight laughs, grabbing the nearby Titans and flinging them at Wonder Woman, removing their powers in the process. Diana knows that it was a trap, but she still has to help her friends as the Darkest Night tackles her so hard they fall through time, landing 160 million years in the past. The villain says that maybe Diana is right, and maybe if the people respect the past Earth, they won't be destroyed. He ambushes the hero, as the heroes of Earth are confronted by their villains and dark shadows from the Dark Multiverse, whose crisis energy is powering the Darkest Night, making him stronger. The Bat family combat the horde of Groblins, and the heroes wonder if their Robin shorts were always that short, but Batgirl knows they were shorter. The heroes' former villains like Poison Ivy fight the Dark Multiverse counterparts as Diana watches from the past. The heroes and villains bravely powering her as Robin King demands Batman give up, but Batman and Nightwing know they can keep doing this all day and night and look good doing it. Superman and his family and villains meanwhile combat the Last Son, who proves to be rather powerful for the family. Brainiac learns that this Superman was called Kill-All on his world, a play on his name Kal-El, allowing Banshee to scream the name, shattering the Last Son's body, wounding him greatly. Wonder Woman knows it's working and she's getting more powerful as she is suddenly taken to the beginning of it all, where she is met by Perpetuous Species as well as the Darkest Night, who is there to kill them before they can erase the multiverse for daring to be more than what they were. Diana knows that they are there because people like him kept using crisis energy to empower themselves and the present at the expense of the past and the future. The Knight wonders what the universe will look like if she was to win, since without a restart, half her friends would die. Something Diana knows that they are okay with, since future generations would live. The Knight finds it gross that she's doing this for the children, but knows the Hands will not spare her world if she wins, wanting her to see it for herself. Diana does, looking forward and seeing that the villain is right and the Hands will wipe everything out. Soon on Earth, the heroes and villains begin turning the tide of the battles, working together to finish off the Dark Multiverse counterparts, but it's not without its casualties as Batgirl is killed by the Groblins, as is Bane, Red Hood and the Joker. Damian hopes that more Bat family are coming as the Groblin horde charge him and his father. In their final moments, Damian tells his father that he would have been the best Batman, as the Superman family are taken down by the Last Son. As John Henry Irons melts in his steel armor, Superman learns the villain is now unstable at his core, and seeing no other choice, Superman grabs the villain, rocketing him away from Earth. The Darkest Knight says that none of this now matters, not history, not principles, and all that matters now is surviving. The villain says that Wonder Woman has two choices. She can keep fighting and lose and the Hands will erase them all, or she can surrender to the Darkest Knight and he will use her power along with his to kill the Hands, and she and her friends can live on their own restored Earth in paradise. The villain tries to kill her again as Wonder Woman refuses to give up, using the hand present to slap around the Darkest Knight. Diana feels a surge of power come over her as Jaro finds Harley is still alive and Batman fights the Robin Prince, getting his hand cut off, losing his Black Lantern ring. Superman meanwhile slowly dies thanks to all of the radiation that the Last Son's unstable power is putting off, but he plans on taking the villain with him. Wonder Woman smashes the Darkest Knight forward through time, back past round tables, the birth of a new kind of human, and past it all to the end of everything, where the sun is in its final death throes. She grabs the villain, pushing him into the sun as Perpetua's own race arrive. The Knight offers her one last chance to surrender and join him as Batman collapses on the ground defeated. The Robin King gloats over the defeated hero, wanting him to say his famous "I'm Batman" line. Bruce says that he will, but first he wants the kid to know that he's met a lot of Batman in his life and the Robin King isn't the brightest there is, since the real Black Lantern ring was never on his hand. Using his stump, Batman activates the real ring embedded in his chest, knowing while he is Batman, it's better that they all are Batman, but the Robin King isn't. He raises the entire Bat family from the dead as well as the Groblins and Alfred, plans on giving the little Robin King a timeout. In space, the dying Superman is helped by Lex Luthor, who says the universe doesn't get to end without him killing one Superman. He smashes Superman away, confronting the Last Son, who says any real damage to him will cause a black hole event. Lex was intending that to happen, activating his suit's self-destruct sequence, blowing himself and the villain up, opening a black hole in space. Wonder Woman meanwhile watches it all unfold as the Darkest Knight is consumed by the flames of the sun, begging for her to save them by siding with him, telling her to picture the world she can have. Diana does, imagining a Earth where they are all young and new again, seeing all her friends and family alive. Seeing the world in front of her, Wonder Woman closes her eyes and shoves the Darkest Knight into the sun, killing the villain for the final time. Everything goes dark, and later Diana awakens in a white void, learning someone she knows is there with her. The being, one of Perpetua's race, says that when they make a multiverse, their hope is that life will follow a path and ascend from selfishness to great truths, and her multiverse, despite many restarts, often fails at it all and even fought against it, and their kind are rarely horrified, but what they saw on Earth horrifies them. Diana wants to know if everything has been undone, so the being decides that it will take a form that will best give Diana an example of what their kind does admire. Wonder Woman is greeted by a version of herself, not understanding the being's intentions. The being says that her kind fought for good despite knowing that they would be undone, and then she saved them when they would not save her, and it's causing them to rethink some of their methods. Diana learns that the multiverse will be restored, but it will be different than before, as all history and stories will be remembered once and for all. The being says that there is no place for walls and boundaries when it comes to humans, and while everything will be new, there will be greater threats, but greater possibilities as well. The being asks if Diana thinks that this is the best way forward, and the woman says it is, promising to make the beings proud. The being says that this does come at a cost, and Diana thinks that it is her life, which she is glad to give up. The being says it won't take her life, but she'll be more alive than ever, and will ascend to help the beings protect the new reality from a lurking threat. Taking the hand of the being, Wonder Woman is led into the void to greet the future. Sergeant Rock's narration soon picks up again and knows usually 2 weeks after a war is when the think pieces begin, asking what it was all about. But before all that, the speeches are given, something he's not really a fan of, picturing Superman delivering one of his many speeches to gathered heroes and the people of Earth, speaking to them first about Diana and thanking everyone who helped them win the day, telling them that he came from a planet whose people couldn't come together when facing annihilation, but here on Earth they did, and they survived, and now they can show that they can be better together. After the speeches, the League hosts a huge party, inviting every hero, villain, and madman who helped in the battle. As Wally belts the drums in the band, Barry comes to see him, telling him he's got something to show him. The Flashes go to the dark side of the moon, where Barry tells Wally to vibrate at 160.4 gigahertz, something they never do since it accesses the cosmic microwave background radiation. Doing so reveals a brand new space station which Barry calls the Totality, a shield protecting the world from future threats, all manned by the greatest minds on Earth, which include both heroes and villains from the halls of Justice and Doom. Wally's introduced to the new team as Lex Luthor tells him that everything is happening now. Wally doesn't really understand, so the teens show Wally that the timeline was unknotted and Earth was restored and new futures are opening up, futures the heroes will probably begin experiencing. Hawkgirl reveals that many of the long dead people are returning, not just people who died in the war, but people before that. And Darkseid, a major power in the old multiverse, is gone. The multiverse is also back, and it's not just the multiverse, it's an infinite number of multiverses, becoming what Lex calls an omniverse, meaning it's an infinite frontier of possibility. That's not all, as the team have discovered that their Earth is no longer the center of the multiverse, but there is now two sources of energy for the multiverse, and Manhunter knows that they are both opposite powers, and one might indeed be an Earth, and for now, they are calling it the Elseworld. On Earth Zero in 1943, Sergeant Rock continues writing in his journal, feeling himself pulled back to his own era and his memories of the future and the war receding, which is why he's writing it all down in the journal. Hawkman soon arrives, telling him the fight is picking back up, as he notices the journal Rock is using is actually his, learning from the sergeant that he was just borrowing it, handing it back to his friend as Sergeant Rock leads the Justice Society of America into battle, knowing everything they do and every story matters, and it always will. Death Metal issue 7 concluded Scott Snyder's final work at DC Comics in grand bombastic fashion as the DC Universe is refreshed and the multiverse is changed forever. To me, this was a wholly satisfying ending, partly because of the way the story was used to make every bit of DC continuity and history now canon and make it all matter. As someone who is a huge fan of DC continuity and a lot of all of the stuff that is no longer canon, having it all come back and be of some importance to a story later down the line or importance to a character is just so damn cool. The through line of respecting not just the past but also the future and not being scared of change or of what happens in the past was really fantastically done. And what better hero to tell that story through than Wonder Woman, a character who's had her history, her origin, or her story changed up countless times over the decades. The issue also set up the upcoming Future State stuff and what comes after that in Infinite Frontier, all of which sounds super exciting and new and fresh, and I cannot wait to explore this newer, more open DC universe. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10.